Hi there, it's Ken from Roof Site Visit, and today I'm going to show you some new features we've added to our app, as well as kind of go through a roof drawing again, just to give you some kind of tips and tricks and things like that that I do and what I look for when I'm going through a roof drawing. As you can see, this is a pretty advanced roof here. There's lots of different slopes and overhangs and things like that, so this is a pretty good drawing to kind of give you a good idea as to how I go about making a drawing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go click on the tap the roof area button on the left hand side, and what that does is it allows me to create a cursor on the screen here. Whenever you're drawing in Roof Site Visit, what you want to do is you want to draw one shape at a time. I basically just pick anywhere on the drawing that I feel like starting from, and then I just start drawing quite literally all the lines that I see on a certain shape. So I'm just going to run through this real fast here, and you can see that I'm not being very careful. I'll explain why in a little while, but I'm not being very careful as to how I draw these lines. I'm just doing it kind of quickly, and what I do is I sketch the roof first, and then I go back and I fine-tune things later on just for speed. I found that doing it this way is the quickest way overall to do a roof. Now I'm coming up to my first little area here, which takes a bit of thought. This cursor here ends at a rake edge, and what I'm going to do is that rake edge, there's going to be an overhang there, so I'm going to take it past the other rake edge, the rake edge that's above it. I'm going to take it past, and then I'm going to come back down towards the valley, go to this point, and then continue up the valley, so it kind of crisscrosses over itself, and then come here. That's how it'll actually look on the roof itself. And you can see, as like I said, you can see a lot of the lines here that I've drawn are not very neat at the moment, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue drawing. I'm going to draw this now, and I'm going to add the overhangs that's going to be under here, like that. I'm going to draw this, some people call these conicals, some people call them witches' hats. We used to call them, when I was roofing, we used to call them chronicles, because we said they used to give us chronic headaches. So that's what we called them when we were roofing them. But whatever you call them, I'm just going to draw this in here real quick. You can see it goes by, the whole process is very quick. Again, I'm not trying to be very neat here, I'm just drawing. Oop. Now, I actually missed my spot here. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'll show you that I actually missed. I was a little bit too quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Modify, and I'm going to go Move Point, and I'm going to grab this corner, and I'm going to put it, snap it right onto that corner there, and I'm going to lift my finger, and it's going to show the screen that's going to join the two spots up where they're supposed to be. So that's quite common that happens sometimes when you're just drawing a little bit too fast. Now there's actually a slope change right here, so I'm going to end this part of the drawing right there. I'm going to come right across to the valley right here, and I'm going to draw this in. This piece right here, there's actually an overhang, so I'm going to come across here to get the overhang, down here to hit that, across here, and again, I'm not being too careful at the moment. Don't really care too much what it looks like. I'm going to fix all that later on as I zoom about my drawing, labeling lines and things. There, I'll get the slope change in there now. Draw this gable in the front here. All the other gables have a bit of a Dutch style, but this one didn't for whatever reason. And join this to there. Just about finished. As you can see, I just draw one piece at a time, and if you just keep doing that, no matter how big and how difficult your drawing is, if you just keep drawing one piece at a time, eventually you're going to be solved. Now again, I got that funny little piece like I had on the other side, which comes to a little rake edge here, and then back. It's very, once you've been drawing these for a while, it becomes a lot easier to visualize. I mean, most estimators have been roofers before, so they should kind of have a pretty good idea what that's supposed to look like anyways. And does make it a bit, it does make it a bit easier to draw your shapes and things when you kind of have an understanding what it is that's supposed to go on. Sorry, I keep tapping too close to the edge of the screen here and it's not filling in for me. Okay, so just about done. See, now I started in a bad spot there. I don't want to start there. I'm off my corner. So I'm simply going to click roof area again and just start that again, get to there. And again, that's just from rushing a little bit. And then I'm going to finish this last piece here. Again, got an overhang. Now I'll show you how to get precise overhangs in another demo, but basically once you've scaled the drawing, you have that instead of it saying tap to start area, it actually shows you the measurement as you're drawing the line. So if I had wanted to, I could have come to here and then I could actually come down here 16 inches, 18 inches, 12 inches, whatever that is, and I would know exactly how far to go. Okay, so now that I've done my drawing, again, it doesn't look the greatest because it's a bit sketchy and some of the lines don't really line up exactly how I want. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to come down to this conical here and I'm going to click modify and I'm going to go move point and I'm going to start moving things around until I'm a lot happier with how that guy looks. Bring this guy. Just keep moving things. I'm going to straighten this guy out just a little bit just to make it look neat. And that looks pretty darn good right there. Maybe this valley could come over this way just a hair. And I'm pretty happy with the way that looks there now. And so what I'm going to do, since I'm down in this mode already, I'm going to identify all these lines real quick. So I'm going to select Eve and I'm going to tap on all the different spots where there's an Eve. I'm going to go identify and I'm going to click hips and just quickly go over all my hips. Identify, I've got a rake edge here. Identify my ridge. Identify my valleys. And then I'm going to move on to the next piece of my puzzle here. So I'm going to click on zoom. I'm going to zoom out just so I can have a look and see where I want to go next. And I'm going to come down in here and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go modify, move point, and I'm going to move these points around. And I like to have things looking nice and neat. And so what I do is I like to try to get all my lines fairly straight so that when I'm looking at the drawing later on, it'll just look nicer. You can, when you zoom out, sometimes you can see your imperfections a little bit more. I've actually just noticed a mistake while I was zooming down mode right here, which I'm going to have to correct because I didn't do that correctly last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep zooming down here though, and I'm going to modify this. Oh, I didn't label my lines. Sometimes I change things up a bit. Sometimes I go around and I fix all my corners first. Do all that and then I go back and label everything. It all depends. Sometimes I just kind of get into the mode of fixing things. So now what I did wrong here was when I designed this shape right here, I'm going to go modify, I'm going to delete this shape. So I'm going to take this guy here and I'm going to delete it. Say yes. And what happened was when I went to draw that one, I forgot to attach to that line there. So I had an oddball shape. So I'm just going to quickly redraw it. And now I'm going to stop here, and that's what I didn't do last time. Perfect. So now again, I can look at this and I can go, okay, well, I know that the gable on this is generally should be about the same size. Sometimes the photo is taken on a certain angle that skews things a little bit. So I'm going to modify, I'm going to move point. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to try and move him a little closer to the center there, just because I know that that's how that's really supposed to be. Maybe just move this a little bit there. This corner could use a little touch up. Just try to clean things up just a little bit. This guy looks a little funny right there, so I'll just take that. That's starting to look a little better. If I zoom over here just a touch, modify. And this is all about just how picky it is you want your drawing to look when you're finished, because ultimately the area is going to be approximately the same. It's really because it's the outside area that gets calculated, and then they just adds a slope factor to it. So as long as you, oh, I'm not happy with that still. I'm pretty picky when it comes to my drawings. Typically, I like to make them look as square and proper as possible. But again, it's just a personal preference thing. It's not really a necessity. I'm just going to clean this guy up a little. And you see, I just kind of zoom in, zoom out, just to kind of get a flow going. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just, because I want to fix, I have a lot of imperfections here because I really didn't try at all to make a half decent drawing. So I'm really just kind of going through my drawing right now, fixing all my points, and then I'm going to get to the labeling part of it. And I know that line was just a bit like that. This guy is pretty close. Just a little, see, I get a little, like I said, I get a little fussy. This guy should probably be more like that. This guy could probably be more like that. I'm getting there. So modify. So you can see what I'm doing is, I know you can't see me with my fingers in my hand, but what I'm actually doing is I'm pushing the zoom button a lot and then the modify button a lot. So I zoom to go to where I want, then I push the modify, move point, and then I come here and I start playing with the buttons a little bit, playing with things. And I go zoom, zoom out real quick, zoom back in. I just, like I said, I zoom out just so I can get an idea. It kind of shows you in the drawing, especially when a lot of other lines are all of a sudden nice and neat now, then it shows you the ones that are not neat and not uniform tend to stand out a little bit more. I can fix this last little area right down in here, and I think we're just about done. So I'm just going to grab this, fix some of these guys. That's a bit messy looking right here. So again, I'll just take this, try and straighten my lines a little bit here. We have a guideline, as you can see on the screen there, that helps you. So when you are trying to get lines a little bit straighter, you can use that a little bit and get some help. Just trying to make this look just a little more uniform. I think more like that. Yep. And just zoom over here, and all that looks pretty darn good already. So I could just touch this just to be picky. Right about like that. And then that's good. So now that I've done that, you can see that my drawing looks really nice and neat, and it's a real true representation of what's actually going on here. Actually, since I've zoomed out again and I've zoomed, when I go back down, I actually see that this looks a little off right here. So me being the picky guy I am, I'm just going to come down here. I'm just going to shorten this, which means I have to also move this, which means I also have to move this, and it means I also have to move this. Just so I can zoom out and zoom back. Yeah, that looks good now. So now I'm going to go about labeling everything. And what I typically do is I pick one thing when I'm doing it this way, and I zoom down and around and get all of those one thing, and then I move on to another. So in this case, I'm going to pick Eve. Sorry, so identify Eve, and you can touch all the big ones while you're in this mode. The problem is that if you try to touch a small one, you're very often going to hit another line. So you can get the ones you can while you're there, and then you can kind of zoom down and pick out the little tiny ones that you missed. So right here in this front gable, I'm going to zoom down here because that's one where there's other lines that are close to it. Just zoom down, zoom back out again, have another look. Is there any more that I missed? I don't think so, but sometimes when as you're going along, you find more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go identify now. Let's just say I'll do my valleys. So I'll select Valley tool, hit all my valleys that I can. I'm gonna leave that little valley there for last because it's one of those ones where I might hit. Oh, see, I saw an eve. I just found an eve that I missed earlier. So I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna zoom, come down here, identify my eve, and you can see that what happens is it stays in that mode. If I zoom over here and if I touch this line, I know it's not an eve, but if I touch it, it stays an eve. So when I go identify here, I'm going to go to my rakes, and I know that's a rake, and I know that's a rake. When I zoom out and I zoom back down, if I just touch that line, then it'll become a rake. So that's all I do is I kind of run around. That's already done. There's some 2 rakes right here. There's a rake right there. Oh, there's a small rake, so I'm going to come here and hit that. Zoom there. Zoom to that small rake and that rake. 2 more rakes right here. I'll start identifying. Oh, there's another eve. So you didn't see what I mean? Like I thought I had my eves done, and then now that I'm kind of running around a little bit, I see that I've forgotten a couple. I can hit my ridges here now. I can hit most of those without having to zoom in. So I can hit my ridges. There's one small one there that I can't. And so I'm going to zoom down here and grab that little guy. And I'm going to do my hips. I got a bunch right there without having to move. So I'll come here, zoom back down here. I know I got a hip there, and I know I got a hip there. And I got a hip there and there. One more there. I got 2 more hips, and the hips are done. I've also got, oh, I got 2 more hips right there. I've also got wall flashing, so I'm going to identify my wall flashing. And I got another one over here. And I've got something here, I've got a line that comes across where that pitch change was in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to identify that as a transition. So I'll click that and I'll put transition. I've also got all these little pieces down here which I need to label somehow. And this is a wall flashing right here. Identify wall right there. And then identify, I usually call that a step. It's usually where the soffit runs in. So sometimes you don't have to put any flashing there, but it doesn't hurt to label it. Sometimes you have to put some kind of cover flashing in there to stop raccoons and things from going in. So identify, I'll be in step mode for a minute here. Let's go get all my steps that I need. You can see it's very fast when you get going to do all that. Actually this one, the step flashing's there and the wall flashing is here. And I just reverse things. It's the same as the other side, except it's just reversed because this slope's going the opposite direction. And so I just changed up where I needed my flashings there. And I got 2 more flashings right here to do. Identify the steps right here. Oops, touched the wrong button. It's okay, just touch rakes again. And you can see there's still no measurements on the roof. That's because I haven't scaled the thing yet. And then identify steps. And I'm done. Okay. Now, so I've done my drawing. I haven't scaled it yet, and I haven't put in the slopes of my roof yet. So what I'm going to do now is, it doesn't matter. You can do this in any order. You can scale the drawing before you start drawing it if you want to. It really doesn't matter. But I happen to know the scale is 63 feet 1 inches on the left side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch scale. I'm going to go to there, and I didn't have to click to there. If I wanted to, I could scale this right here, but I know that from that corner there to that corner there is 63 feet 1 inch. So I'm going to go 63.1. 0.1, when you're talking in the app, 0.1 means 1 inch. If you go 0.11, it means 11 inches. So I'm going to set that, and you can see that because I've identified all those lines, then all the measurements come out. Now, when I change my slopes, all those measurements are going to change for the hips and valleys and things like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go slope. The predominant slope on this place here is actually 12-12, and then there's a 4-12 area, and then there's a bunch of 6-12 areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 12-12, and I'm going to say apply all. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go slope, and I'm going to say I have a 4-12 area. I'm going to go select area, and I'm going to select this little transition area right here. And you can see that the number, this is in the front middle valley where the transition was, and I changed that to a 4. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to change these 2 more areas here to 6-12, a few more areas, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say 6-12, and I'm going to say select area, and I have a 6-12 here, 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 here in the front, and this side, and this side here. So what I like to do also, once I've done this, is I usually generally color code my areas, just so that if I'm looking at this drawing later on, I know what areas are lower sloped and what. So what I might do here now is I might go color, and I might go say purple, say select area, and then select that 4-12 area as a purple color. Then I might go settings, color, and then go green, and let's say select area, and those green areas are all my 6-12s. And I don't know truthfully if I got this exactly right, but there's definitely some slope changes here, so I'm just kind of trying to illustrate what I've done. The standard color is white. If I didn't want white, if I wanted to actually move to another color, simple, all I have to do is, let's say I wanted to select yellow, select area, and I can go and tap all these areas here and all these guys, and then there you go, and there's one more right there. So now my entire drawing is colored in. Now if I really wanted to make sure I didn't miss coloring anything, I can actually take the fill and I can slide this cursor way over, and I can actually see now that that's there. And now what I do is that generally before printing, we have a color printer, and so I'll generally print. I usually put my fill to right about there, and I find that that look comes out looking quite nice. On the printer, all that text, although it's yellow here, all the text comes out black when you're printing it. So there's the drawing. Now, because I'm going to show you the accessories, I'm actually going to take the fade here, and I'll take my fill, and I'll take it all the way down to almost nothing right now, and we can fill that back in later. Now I want to show you the new part of the app, which is our accessories option. Now, since I've scaled the drawing, if I select a 2x2 or a 3x3 or a 2x4 skylight, it'll actually show up very, very close to the exact size that's on there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select skylights, and you see that there's a 2x4 and a 4x2. If I select 2x4, you see it shows this direction. If I put that there and I tap the screen, it leaves that skylight there. I've also got another one right here. And then it looks like I have a couple of 3x3 skylights. So I'm going to go accessories, skylights, 3x3, and we'll try that. Yep, that's exactly what they are. And I'll place those there. I've also got a, it looks like about a 2x2 chimney in the front there. So I'm going to go accessories, chimney, 2x2. See how that works. It's a bit small, more like a 3x3. So I've got accessories, chimney, 3x3, and that fits pretty nice. So there's my chimney. You see that there's two shadows in the front part of the roof here. That's because they're both hot stacks. So I'm going to go here, and they're probably 6-inch B vent. So I'm going to go B vent, and I'm going to say 6-inch sloped, and I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to put one right here. The little black marks on the roof are indicative of leads. This is a cedar roof, by the way. That's why you don't see any air vents on here. We're going to do a cedar conversion and change this to a fiberglass laminate. So we're going to have to add some vents. So what I'm going to do is, after I put my plumbing stacks, all my plumbing stacks here are 1.5 inches, but again, if you wanted to pick any other size, it's no problem. A lot of you guys, sorry, let me go back to that. A lot of you guys like to use rubber boots, so we put a rubber boot option. I'm going to select the rubber boot, and if I go and select here, and I actually don't know, I'm just going to, if that's a real lead there or not, but there's my leads here. Obviously, if you're on the roof, you're able to check that and see it properly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over the roof right now and see how many air vents I think I'm going to need. I typically like to use the 70-inch style, 75-inch vents, just a little bit bigger, a little bit more area. And so I'm just going to go around now and put air vents where I roughly think that they might need some here. You know, this is all about what you think. You know, there's you know, different opinions as to where air vents and things are needed. I typically like to try to go with about 1 air vent per every 400 square feet of roofing place. Now, I don't really know how many square feet I got because I've never looked at it yet. But now that I'm done all this, I can click on my report button here and it'll spit out all that information for me. The roof here is 37.8 feet. So on that being said, for air vents, I'd probably want to have about 9 to 10 air vents on there. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to figure out a couple of more places to put some vents, and then I'll be good. Let's say 70 square inch. Let's say I throw one there, and I could probably use another one here in this guy right there. So there you go. There's my air vents and things. So again, I'll go to my report. You can see here that it shows my eaves, hips, valleys, rakes, edges, step flashings, everything that I've marked on this roof. It does show back pan. Let's say that I had a large skylight and I wanted to draw that in as an opening. What I could do is I can go back to my drawing. I can go modify, and I can go add opening. I can literally draw, if there was happened to be like a 8-foot by 8-foot skylight there and I wanted to delete that area, I could literally draw the thing. I did more like a 4x4 here, but I could draw the opening. Then I could identify my step flashings on the sides, my wall flashing on the front, and my back pan on the back. And now I've got a flashing count. When I click on report, now I've got a flashing count of all of my, see at the top here I've got back pan 5 foot 6 inches, and I would obviously have to use more than that for waist, but at least it gives me an idea, and it tells me, reminds me not to forget that that's what I'm trying to do there. I'm just going to delete this. So I'm going to delete my opening. And it's very easy when you do things. It's very easy to make corrections with this app, which is one thing that I really like about it. Again, you can move your points and things, but you can also move pieces. So if I want to, let's say, modify, and I want to move an area for some reason, let's say I had a little low roof over a door, and I didn't want to draw it in the middle of the, like very close to the edge. I could actually draw it out from the roof, and then I can move it in. But I can actually take any piece of this roof right now, and I can move it out, and it cuts it out of there. Then I can grab that point right there, and as long as I put it back on top of that point right there, everything goes back to normal again. So another thing I can do is I can add waste factor. This is something that a lot of apps and programs for roofing seem to miss out on. I don't know why, because it's such an important thing. You can set your scale. So on this particular roof, I might add 10% waste. Everybody's different. Some of you guys are probably shaking your 10%. What are you, crazy? It's 20 or it's only 5 or whatever. But for me, I have a set of numbers that I like to use for a specific style of roof, and that's the number I've chose for this one here. If I go back to my report, it increases everything 10%. Not the accessories, of course, but everything else gets increased 10%. Waste factor. So the roof total is now 41.6 square, and there it is. So now what I would do is I would simply save my drawing. It's just going to synchronize and send that back to our server. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to do my fill again because I want to print this out in a much nicer format for myself. I'm going to print it just like that. So I'm going to go save that again. However you save it, when you go to generate your report, that's how the report will look. So if I wanted to stretch the screen, you know, to make it as big as on my roof as I can, whatever, that's how the drawing will actually show up in my report. So if I save it like that, again, then I go back, say, do you want to exit? Yes. I go generate report, and I can go main image, say done, and go generate. Now what it asks me here is, do I want the photo in the report or not? So I can do yes and I can do no. I mean, you can make one of each and email them to yourselves, but I usually go no. I like to see all the numbers, and I can actually open the file up right now, and there's my drawing, and then there's my takeoff record. So when I'm sitting there at my office doing my calculations, all my information is right there for me, and it's just a question of data entry now. And you can see it breaks it down into 4, 12, 6, 12, 12, 12. It gives you a total roof area. It gives you all the information you need. It also tells you, I've left it up here, you can see that I show you the length before waste factor, the amount of waste factor, and then a total. That way, if you didn't happen to want to use 10% waste factor on all those different materials, you could just use the regular number that I've got there on the left-hand side. And then if you did want to add the waste factor, then you can use the number on the right-hand side. So it's really up to you. I've tried to leave it as dynamic as possible for you. Okay, that's about it. And then from here, what I would do is I would maybe select this check mark, and I would ship it right now to an email, and that would be that. And the report's done. I would email myself probably so I can take it to my printer and print it. And like I said, when I'm sitting there at my desk doing my quote now, I've got all the information that I need, and just enter in the data and spit out the quote, and it's all done. Okay, well, that's it for now. I'll try and get some more demos for you guys as I can, and we're always looking to update our program even more, so please keep checking back. And we also have a very, very large list now. It's over 400 websites through North America that show that have county and city aerial photographs, which we only really load them up there if we feel that they're as good or better than the Google photographs that are available to you. The good thing about the county ones is that they constantly update them, so they get better as time goes on, whereas the Google ones have kind of stayed the same for quite some time now. But the aerial photographs are taken from an airplane at 10,000 feet, so the resolution is generally better. Sometimes, though, the software itself that they load the aerial photographs onto, they don't let you zoom in very close, or they pixelate a little bit as you go down. So it's just another option for you to, another resource for you to try and get the best photographs possible for you to use this kind of software. So anyways, you have to give that a look. It's if you go to www.roofsitevisit.com and you click on photo maps, you'll see a list there of all my county and city sites that I have across North America. Thank you very much, and have a great day.